Today's episode is all about the problems men face in modern society. But what's more important is how we fix them. Today is a raw, real, solid, very important episode that men need to hear. Women do too. Because when we fix the men, things get a lot easier for the women, let's be honest, right? And today we have the founder of the Spartan and the Tough Mudder races, those crazy obstacle courses that are all over the world, Joe Sena. We get into some uncomfortable truths about the reality of our society, right? How modern life is softening men, how comfort is killing purpose, and what it really takes to rebuild grit, discipline, and inner strength. This is obviously a good time to self-reflect, reality check to see where you're at and how you could improve. And again, any women listening to this, you have men in your lives, maybe you'll learn some stuff about where men are struggling that you may not know of, but it may be pretty obvious, it may not. It's always helpful for both to know and to listen to this. So listen to this right till the end. There's a lot of good juicy stuff in here. Also, we talk about how Joe's business nearly collapsed, like the Spartan race nearly collapsed during the pandemic, which is crazy. And this is what I wasn't expecting this. Like, you see people, I saw him on Joe Rogan, you see him crushing it, but sometimes in the background, things aren't going as well as you think. And he was on the show in 2019 and now he's back. And I just love the new raw perspective after the world was so crazy, Anyways, we get into more about why movement is medicine for grief and depression and how to raise kids who are actually ready for the real world. Don't even get me started on the kids today in society. The world doesn't give a shit. And if you don't prepare kids with discipline and strength and resilience, the world is going to eat them alive. And, I'm not a parent yet, but I know that if I was, that would be the first thing I'd always think about is how is this child going to survive in the world? How are they going to thrive? What do they need to know? Right? So this is a great episode for that. And yeah, hopefully this hits hard. Hopefully this is a reality check for you. And hopefully it helps. So let's get into this episode with Joe Sena. But before we get into the episode, let me ask you guys an honest question. How prepared are you in life for when adversity hits? Right? Listen to episodes like this where you read books, but how do you actually move it? How do you actually take it, transform it, and learn and grow and acquire the wisdom and the knowledge you need and the tools to move forward? What do you do? This is why I am such a big believer about breath work. Now, a big part of my life has been personal transformation and always wanting to find the best tools that can help me move through the stuff keeping me stuck. We all have stuff from our past that's holding us up. And if you really are honest with yourself and you want to make the biggest impact you can in this life, then you got to do the work. Shit is going to come at you. You can't run away from it. And if you do, it'll just keep coming in different ways. So the best thing is to find a tool that can help you move through it the best way. Mastery Breathwork I created, and it's a really powerful tool because it can help you not only heal parts of your past, combine meditation, breathwork, and visualization to become the person you want to be. Whether you're a high-performing entrepreneur, athlete, parent, corporate, whatever. To get to the next level, it's going to demand a next version of yourself. And that is usually that something in the past is holding you back from really stepping into that, right? It's a game of inches. And what I want to do is be able to help you get that inch move through whatever is stopping you so that you can perform at the highest level, have your heart as open as possible, and have a full connection to the Creator, Buddha, Jesus, whatever you want to call it, the intuition, your heart, it's all connected to the same thing. This is why it's so powerful. So if you're serious about your journey in this life and you really want to let go of the shit that's holding you back and finally fully step into that power source that you always have had, then let's have a chat. I do 4 sessions minimum. I think 4 is a perfect amount to get your feet wet, and you will feel things and things will shift. I also do 3-month and 6-month programs for one-on-one. If you're not ready to commit, I don't want to work with you because it does take work and you need to show up. So if you feel like you qualify for that, let's have a chat and let's make shit happen. All right. This time it's for real. Let's get into this episode with Joe DeSena. The biggest problem we face as men today.
We're getting too soft. We're becoming too soft. We can't handle adversity. We don't have the ability to persist. We don't seek tough times. Let me just ramble for a minute, if you don't mind.
Love it.
If you and I were having this conversation in the 1700s, I'd say my answer would be different. I'd say we need more couches. We need more penicillin. We need Netflix. We need popcorn, right? Life is hard. We walk around and shit all day. We ride horseback. We're out in the rain. Some of us don't have a roof over our head, but it's become so easy. DoorDash, Uber, indoor plumbing. It's so fucking easy that we are learning helplessness. We can't handle basic adversity. We get upset over silly shit. Wi-Fi doesn't work on the plane. We're losing our cool. We're not fun to be around. 200 years ago, 500 years ago, we had a very low set of expectations. We just wanted the sun to rise. We just wanted to not get eaten by a lion. Today we have massive expectations. Everything's got to be perfect. My Zoom call's got to be exactly on time. It's throwing my schedule off. And we have no tolerance for pain. We used to have a tremendous tolerance for pain. And by the way, on this podcast, just so we're clear, I'm not going to talk about women at all. If you bring up women, I'm not talking about it. Only men.
I love it. Where do you think that starts? And when do you think it was really becoming a problem? Because I agree with you. But when can you see, when we look back now in your journey, when did this start? Was it internet? Was it social media? Was it long before that? When did all the bullshit start?
Probably started with the automobile, right? I mean, you watch 1888, or you watch any of those shows that reenact what it was like building the railroad across the United States or living back then. Once we had the Industrial Revolution, and once folks could drive in an automobile, in a covered vehicle that traveled distance, once the airplane was commercially available, it just began the dominoes. And then you're right, 2007, 2008, this thing shows up. By the way, I'm just going to ramble. By the way, I get it, right? Our country, our system, our world is so amazing because we sell each other shit, right? We sell each other shit. We make money. We buy more shit. We invent stuff to sell. And so that's that's the grease that keeps this whole thing going. But the problem with it is the companies that do really well, and we know this, the companies that do really well are the ones that sell things that are addictive. Sugar, attention grabbing devices, drugs, right? Like if it's addictive, it's really commercially viable. It does really well. The highest market capitalization companies in the world are the ones selling us stuff that we're addicted to. And then that addiction, again, whether it's sugar, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, whether it's devices, that addiction makes us weaker. Makes us weaker. Now think about it. If you and I were in the business of selling barbed wire and running and rope climbing, it's a fucking tough thing to sell. I mean, who the fuck wants to buy that? Right? That doesn't have the market capitalization of Apple, because nobody wants it. It's too hard. Why the fuck would I do that? Sorry. I'm on a ramble.
I love it, man. You're speaking truth. It's true. I mean, like, that's why I love having you back on the show, because that's what I loved about our first conversation. And just for everybody, we were talking to this before we got on today. Joe was on the show October 30th, 2019, episode 117. And, unless you guys were living under a rock, that was right before the world got flipped upside down and, torn to shreds in all different ways. And that's why I'm interested now, Joe, to see your perspective in like what has unfolded for you in the last 6 years that you have had to confront, and how much has changed. Like, I just, with your perspective and what you've gone through as an entrepreneur, like, what is something that stands out the last 6 years that's really shaped who you've evolved into being?
Well, look, I think anybody who's listening or watching that knows anything about entrepreneurship knows that it's a really difficult sport. It is. Everything that can go wrong does go wrong. You're constantly on fire. You've got to make the best of it. You got to somehow smile through it. I get it. My father taught it to me. I was an entrepreneur in my preteens. I'm wired to do it. So when we spoke in 2019, I was probably talking a big game. I was pounding my chest. I'm an entrepreneur. This is a tough business, blah, blah, blah. I had no idea, and I had never experienced what was coming between, 2019 and for us, even through to today. So 6 years, 5 years. And so maybe it was the universe testing me and just seeing, I guess you never know, right? I guess God and the world gives the ones that are able to handle it the biggest challenges. So maybe because I doled out so many burpees and I've tortured so many people in my life, the universe was paying me back and just saying, okay, motherfucker, let's see if you could handle this. And so we had just bought Tough Mudder. We were on top of the world. We had this vision for being a multidisciplined brand, kind of like Louis Vuitton of hard shit. Louis Vuitton owns a bunch of brands. We would own a bunch of brands. I don't know if the person is going to do hiking or obstacle racing or trail running, but whatever it is, we know getting them outside and taking on tough challenges is good for them, their mind, body, and soul. We want to be in that business. We want people to stay in our ecosystem for as long as possible, because we know it changes them for the better. So that was the vision. Pandemic hits, and I got to cancel all these races. I've already sold 500,000 tickets. 500,000 tickets equates to a little over $50 million in ticket sales. You would imagine every one of those people wants their money back. I don't have $50 million to give back to people, because I've already paid for trucks and trailers and insurance and airline tickets, and I've already organized everything for the races those people are going to attend. A non-entrepreneur doesn't understand how that works. They assume that people pay us and then we write all the checks on the day of it just doesn't work that way. So now I want to do the right thing. The world's only going to be closed for a week or two. There's no way that we're going to stay in our houses more than a week or two. So I offer everybody 2 tickets. I give away $100 million worth of tickets. Hey, I feel so bad that your race got canceled. Don't worry. In a couple of weeks, it'll be back on the schedule. Take 2 tickets for when we open back up. Well, for us, it took 2 years. There were many instances where locales, governments, et cetera, would say, hey, Joe, you can come back. You could put on a race in this island in Spain. You could put on this race here. We would get it organized. We would rally the troops, get everybody excited, only to find out the night before it got canceled again because some politician didn't like. So for 2 years, it was start, stop, only to piss off those customers even further. Because imagine being locked in your house and then finally buying an airline ticket to fly to a Spartan race to claim your 2 tickets that Joe gave you, right? And then you get there and you're in a hotel and the night before the race is canceled again. Like they're not blaming the government, they're blaming us. So if there was ever a Harvard Business School study on how to destroy your business and piss off customers, we would be like the fucking poster child, right? So then finally the world opens back up and we grind this machine to jumpstart. Imagine like turning a wheel and it's going real slow. Like 300 races have to get stood up at once around the world in 45 countries. Imagine that expense. Oh, you idiot, Joe. The first $100 million in revenue doesn't exist because you gave away those tickets. So you've got to stand up 300 races in 45 countries and then the first 100 million you can't collect. So that was a disaster and a shit show. Anyway, I'm not here to play a friggin' violin and complain, but it's been a very hard journey. It's made me stronger. It's made the company stronger. It's forced us to figure out new ways to run the business in a more efficient, with a more efficient system and systems. And so it's a miracle. We should not exist. We should have went bankrupt 9 times, but we just wouldn't do it. There's no textbook that would explain how to do what we did. It was just obstinance and like we just wouldn't quit. We borrowed from Peter to pay Paul. Like we just juggled and made the whole thing work. We've got an incredible community, incredible set of vendors, incredible staff that hung in there and must be like the grittiest people on the planet because we've stuck with it. And here we are. We're back. So it's been unbelievable.
How did you personally deal with that on a day-to-day basis? Like, you know, when you're dealing with the financial pressures and the people and the emails and the social media and staff, like, how did you process that personally? You know, was it through working out?
How does a rat, imagine a rat, like let's say you and I owned a laboratory and we were testing things on rats. And the rat just gets electrocuted every day because we want to see how the rat survives. Like, how does a rat do it? It just keeps getting electrocuted every day. Like, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I was being electrocuted every fucking day, everything that could, like, I remember for the first time in my life, for years, I remember during that period you're asking about, it being easier to go to bed than to be awake. Let me just go to sleep. I'll go to sleep tonight. I'll wake up in the morning, start over. Like, I don't know. I mean, how'd they get through the Civil War, World War I, or Vietnam? I don't know. Like, I'm not comparing the silly challenges I had to any of those challenges that those men went through. But yeah, I don't know. What are my choices? I don't have any choices. I mean, I could have went back to Wall Street, just got a job. It would have been certainly easier, but I'd be embarrassed. I'd be a quitter. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, no, I mean, I love the honesty, man. I mean, it's so real and not many people are willing to even talk about that stuff. This is what I love about what you're saying is because too many people are too proud to ever talk about when things haven't gone right. You know, you see everybody on social media and everybody seems to be winning at all times, all the time. And it's nice to hear like an honest story during that time because it's rare. Like it's rare to hear that. Honestly, like not many people are willing to be fucking honest about the experience they had because they don't want to look a certain way. You know?
Could you get me those people that are always winning? Because I could use them around me.
Well, but it's like it's a facade, right? They don't talk about.
Yeah. No, that's my point, right? Like, so did I work out? Yeah. Did I take cold plunges? Yes. Did I just stay in the fight? Yet, like during the pandemic, during those 2 years, I happened to do an interview like this with someone like you. I think it was on a phone. It was a few days into and the gentleman, he was a Spartan, one of our customers, and he said the standards, it was military vet. He said the standards never change. And I hung on to that sentence for the whole pandemic. I said the standards don't change. Pre-pandemic, I didn't walk around in my pajamas all day. I put my fucking cleats on every morning. I got going at 5 a.m. I did it. And so I commanded myself and everybody I could around me to just keep living the way we were living before the pandemic. Like, we're getting up early. We're doing a 100-person phone call every morning from around the world, every single day, 7 days a week at 5:15. I'm doing my workouts. Like, I'm waking the whole house up, even though we don't need to wake up early because nobody's going, like, the standards didn't change. And having that battle rhythm, those habits, I think really helped because you, like, a friend of mine lost his job 2 years ago. He lives up the street from me, and he's done well enough that he can call it a retirement. And I make him work out in the mornings, and then I see that he doesn't have to go to work anymore, and I'm like, dude, get in the car, get your cleats on. You're coming to the office with me because otherwise you're going to be like you're on your way to dead. Just like, and so you got to be careful, right? Like, if you don't dust off and stay in the fight and stay in the game, I think whatever you're going through would be a lot worse. So, I held these standards. I did my thing every day. There was no genius applied to anything. It was just complete fortitude. And the hardest part. Here's the hardest part, and this is just a reality of life that everybody needs to hear. This is really important. The hardest part is we're all going to go through in some way what I just described. But the hardest part is human beings are so flawed. We are so flawed that in your darkest moments, when it sucks, when you finally muster enough energy to fight through this thing, the fucking naysayers show up. The people pile on and they make it even worse. It's already hard enough. Right? But you have to expect there's going to be a contingent of folks around you that are going to complain. They're going to point at you. They're going to tell you you're doing it wrong. For us, it was the Wall Street Journal reporter for the bankruptcy section shows up. I'm already killing myself to try to keep this thing working and alive. And this motherfucker, I'm sorry, you could bleep all this stuff out. He decides it's a good idea to put us on a cover story of the bankruptcy section, 2 years ago, that we're not going to make it, that it's touch and go for us financially. Like, and I'm saying to myself, when I see the text come in that he's going to call me, I'm saying to myself, how is that good for humanity? I'm trying to change lives. I'm trying to get people to do hard things. How is it possibly good for this reporter to write this? Is it because they need more clicks? Is that what this is? Because Spartan has such a big audience, Tough Mudder has it. They need more clicks to the Wall Street Journal site. And it was easy for me at that point to wave a white flag and say, I'm done. I tapped out. It was already so hard. Now I got the Wall Street Journal wanting it. Like, who wants to sign up for a race when the founder's on the cover of the Wall Street Journal bankruptcy section? And I remembered, oh my God, this is when the naysayers show up. They're supposed to show up in your darkest moments. That's when the real test comes, right? It's already hard. You haven't quit. The universe is like, this guy hasn't quit. We got to give him one more friggin' push to quit. And the naysayers show up. And so I said to myself, I just got to make it through this interview. I just got to make it through this cover story. And if I do, I know I'm coming out the other side. And that was the darkest. That was the darkest moment. But everybody should know that when they start showing up and they're like, I told you not to run that marathon. You were too old. I told you not to marry that girl. I told you not to marry that. I told you not to start that business. You should have kept your job. That's when it's turning from there in the right direction.
You must have had a ton of support too, though, right? Like, people would still support you no matter what, because they love what you're about and you are trying to improve humanity. Like, you are, like, your mission and what you talk about, and, being on social media and Joe Rogan, like, your message is about empowering people. So, like, I don't, but I mean, we're living in a world where they want to poison us. They don't want us. It's right wing if you want to exercise, like fucking insanity. Somehow it's become political if you want to lift weights. Like it's fucking nuts. And it's like, how is what you're doing? Like, why wouldn't people want to see you win? Like, why wouldn't people want to get behind you? Like, why? There's nobody, there's such a small percentage of people doing it.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Imagine, I mean, you just said it. Imagine if you and I were couch potatoes and we had a really like most human beings, and we had a really difficult time mustering up the motivation and the energy to do it. It makes us feel better. It makes humanity feel better if everybody's on the couch, right? There's a few of us that go to the gym. There's a few of us that crawl under barbed wire. It's a very small percentage of people. Now, after the pandemic, the number is actually growing, but it's still a tiny percentage. So most of us would like to wallow in this, like, we're all lazy. You're making me look bad going to the gym. And guys like you and I, and anybody listening or watching, it's our job to get those left-wing nuts. I'm not making a political statement. I'm simply saying, right? Like you said, the right, somehow working out became right wing. Like, get those couch potato left-wing nuts to understand how powerful and healthy and good it is, not only for themselves, their like for everybody, to just go sweat. Just go do something hard. By the way, all the science, like the good news about social media and phones and this attention grabbing nonsense is there's a lot of science, good and bad science, right? True and false science. But there's a lot of science coming out saying everything you and I knew, which is like, you want to become mentally more stable, exercise. You want to get through a tough time, exercise. You're not feeling healthy, exercise. Like I there's a family member. There's actually a guy waiting outside my room to do a podcast with me whose brother killed himself, and so if you're connected to somebody that committed suicide or died or whatever, like tough, like, it's going to sound terrible coming from somebody like you or somebody like me, but like, my answer is go exercise, and that sounds like silly, but what are your choices? Yeah. You could stay in bed all day. You could take a bunch of pills. You could self-medicate with food and drugs and alcohol. Or you can go, like, it's the best of all the choices. Just go exercise.
Dude, 100%. I mean, I can speak from experience. In 18 months, my younger brother killed himself, then my dad died of cancer. So I know exactly what you're saying, because you moving your body is the first thing you can do to move energy, right? Like to change your emotional state, to sweat. You know, like, it's so important because it's so easy to get into these funks and just, go into the victim hole. And I think, sometimes people go into that, but it's like, how long do you stay in there before it's like, okay, like, let's fucking go? And I know exactly what you're saying. Like, exercise saved my life, man. Like, doing things like that, it's the only way. I mean, there's other things to do too.
It's there's not very many choices that are like, as you were saying what you said, I just thought, still water run deep and dark, right? Still water is usually dark, black, infested. Running water, clean, right? Like, so run your engine, move, sweat, right? Like, don't wallow in it. It sucks. I'm sorry you dealt with that, but like, it's just part of the deal. Could you imagine you and I were in Vietnam in a jungle? We're in Civil War. We're looking around, everybody around us is dead. Yeah. Like, how the fuck do you get through that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. It's part of life, and it's part of dealing with, we're all going to have death. We're all going to have to go through it. And, you have to get through it. And it's when you're in that moment, you really find out what you're made of. And you really find out, because you can hear about other people and see it in movies, but when it happens, it's like, oh fuck, this is actually happening. But something happens to you. It's like it's you find this almost, just, at least for me, this like warrior within me that's like, all right, well, let's fucking go. We got to do this. We got to, it's really interesting when that happens because you're faced with those.
But by the way, you're saying something interesting, right? Which is this warrior within, like
Yeah.
everybody has it.
Hmm.
Everybody. There's no person on the planet that doesn't have it because we wouldn't exist as a species if we didn't have it. We've had locust storms, we've had floods, we've had wars, and somehow the remaining humans that didn't get killed muster it up and
Yeah.
fight through it. So it's all in us, right? It's all in us. It just, you can't find it on the
Yeah.
couch.
And this takes me to the next point I wanted to talk to you about, bro, was I really admire how you work with kids and you really, with Camp Sparta, and I've seen you talk about it before. And it's just so important to instill these values and this discipline in kids. And how has that been for you? And I know you've gotten backlash even from that. But like how is that process for you? And talk to us about the importance of this stuff as kids.
We only take about 100 kids a year. You have kids yet,
Not
or
yet. 41 still don't have kids.
you have kids?
Not yet.
All right.
Not yet.
All right. Well, give me some nephews. Give me some nephews and nieces. It's end of June on the farm in Vermont. It happens every year. It's been going on for about a decade. No, it's been going on maybe longer than a decade, and it's really impactful for me personally, selfishly, because now those early classes of kids that came in the beginning are going off to college,
Cool.
and they're all asking me for letters. And they're all leveled up, and I remember them kicking and screaming and crying and being non-resilient, non-gritty little characters, and I've watched them like develop into like these adults and badass human beings. Some of them in the military, some of them going off to West Point, some of them special forces. So like I just love it. I just was having a discussion with a dad and his two kids this morning in the shop next door. I bumped into and roping them into what we call death camp, aka Camp Sparta. So and everybody says that's a stupid. My investors say that's a stupid name. It's terrible branding, and I'm like, no, the kids love it because the kids, they want to see, are they tough enough to get through death camp? They need that, right? In this world where we're creating softness and we give them everything, they want to find that inner warrior. So every year, last 2 weeks, June, just reach out to me, puts in the subject line Camp Sparta. I only take about 100 kids. It's a lot of friends and family. Selfishly, it's been great for my kids because it's something that we've made our kids do, and it's a lot easier to do it to your own kids if there's another 97 kids, 96 kids around them. My favorite stories from this camp is the kids that come to me trying to quit. And so like we're 4 days in or 5 days in, and invariably there's some kid walking across the field at 5 a.m. They see me in the barn and they want to come talk to me. And I know they're certainly not coming to bring me a salad or a green juice, right? And so I know it's coming, and they walk in, hello, sir. I just want you to know I have to quit, or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, no problem. And I'll pull out my phone and I'll say, let's fill out the quitters app. And I make believe I have a quitters app. And I'll be like, name, reason for quitting, and I fill out the whole form, and I'll say, all right, today is Sunday. We've filled out your application. On Wednesday at 3 a.m., the quitter's office opens on top of the mountain. So be there so we could get your final application in for quitting, and then obviously we'll release you. And before you know it, 3 or 4 days goes by, 3 a.m. comes, they don't show up on top of the mountain. I say, hey, you missed it. Bad news. Quitter's office doesn't open until next Wednesday. Anyway, I have a lot of fun with them. They all get through it, and they become better human beings. It's a lot of fun for me.
How come you don't expand that to more? Like, because I feel like that is such a huge thing that could be so big in every
Well,
city.
we have hundreds of thousands of kids that do our races, right? We have
Okay.
kids races
Okay.
all over the
Right.
world. That's scalable. That's only, it's only a couple of hours for the kid. The camp would be amazing for everybody. My dream would be my dream would be to connect this to the DoD, Department of Defense. And I'm not suggesting for all the folks out there that maybe are skeptical of the military for kids or whatever. Imagine if this became a military thing in a good way, like, hey, we're going to level up our society. We're not asking these young kids to join 8 years of military service. We're just saying 2 weeks or 1 day, whatever it may be. Like, so I would love to expand it. And I would love for every kid pre-18, pre-19 to come in and experience this, because it levels them up. It softens the hard edges. It removes ego. It turns them into little battle-worn, warriors. And girls and boys, by the way, girls and boys, unbelievable what it's done.
Do you get backlash from parents though, or parents generally pretty good about understanding the importance of kids doing this stuff? Like, because I mean, people have gotten soft all around.
No. 50% of the audience yells about it. You should let the kids sleep. It's ridiculous. Putting kids in a boot camp. And, my response is, you fucking idiot. I said, there's 2 ways to get sleep. One is to go to bed early. One is to wake up late. Put your kids to bed early. They could still if you want your kid to sleep 14 hours, put them to bed earlier. But get them up early. Get them used to some sort of a battle rhythm that works in our society. Our society doesn't start at noon. Right. So anyway, I've had people, my younger boy, I made him swim a mile with a life jacket on when he was like 5. And we were 3/4 of the way across this little lake. And some woman came out off her dock in a kayak, and she's like hitting me with the paddle. And you get that kid out of the water. We've watched you. He's been out there for an hour. It's dangerous. And ma'am, this is my son. He has a life jacket on. We're a 1/4 mile from greatness, kid. Let's just finish the task at hand. And I don't think people know, and I didn't know, the biological science to children taking on hard tasks and finishing hard tasks. My friend's a neurosurgeon. He said, Joe, when we cut open somebody's brain, we can see tracks that are laid from people that take on, especially kids, that take on hard tasks and finish hard tasks. We can see gaps in the brain, spaces for kids that take on hard tasks and don't finish hard tasks. So it's not just about bragging rights. It's not about the parent. It literally changes the biology of that human being, that kid, to take on hard challenges and finish them. But I get it. Like, if you're a parent and you never did anything really hard, or you had a bad experience growing up doing something really hard, you might not understand the benefit and the power of doing this for a kid. And by the way, it's not one and done. You can't just take a kid, put them in Camp Spartan, and then they're good for life. This is like calluses and building muscle. You don't go to the gym for a week and then you're done for life. You got to go to the gym all the time. You got to work on hard and grit and resilience all the time.
I appreciate it so much now because, growing up, for me, I was a hockey player in Canada. I grew up in the freezing cold in the late 80s and early 90s is when I was born in 83. So the way things were done in the early 90s was fucking tough, man. We got disciplined. It was called bag skating. If you don't do a drill right, get to the line. We're gonna or puke practices. I'm not saying puke practices are the right way to go, but even in junior A hockey, I appreciate it so much now looking back at how hard it was on us. And, obviously there's different ways of coaching now that are probably a little bit better than that. But some of those really hard moments, those really crazy moments of discipline where, there was fear in us. It helped me become a better human today, especially when it comes to, entrepreneurship and dealing with adversity and dealing with things. It's because I was conditioned in that environment. And that's why, when I see someone like yourself putting kids through these kind of things, I'm like, yes, this is what we need. This is how kids are going to survive. This is the only way. Otherwise you're going to have to learn a hard lesson.
Where are you physically located?
Right now I'm actually in
Where are you physically?
Right now I'm in Southeast Asia. I'm actually in Da Nang, Vietnam, traveling.
Isn't that funny that I keep mentioning
I know. I
Vietnam?
was
That's
gonna
really
say.
funny. So if you get a chance and you're coming through Florida, I want you to come interview and just experience a day. Maybe we capture some content around a wrestling program that I found for my boys. We moved to Florida so that the kids could do level up in sports here. And I happened to find a wrestling program that lives the life of death camp every day. Like, it is exactly what you just described in your hockey experience as a kid. And it's the top 3 program in the country. And it turns little kids, little mushy kids, into friggin' warriors. I mean, 4 or 5 hour practices every day, puke fests, conversations about leveling up. You would love this guy. You would love this program. It's 100 degrees in the room. And what it's done is because it's like, there's 50, 60 kids in the program, it just rises all boats. Every one of those kids just becomes a better, because of your hockey experience. So I'd love for you to see
That'd be
it.
awesome. I love anybody that understands how important that is. And I didn't appreciate it like I did. Like, I used to hate it. I used to hate it. But back then, parents, like my parents, that was the way it was. You don't mouth off to the coach. There was more, obviously there was piece of shit coaches out there too. Like, I'm not saying they're all great, but it was about, you go to work, you keep your mouth shut, and you just work hard. And there wasn't a lot of this like entitlement stuff that I see now. Kids have player agents as a teenager, and like all this weird stuff that I hear even like buddies of mine who are coaching have to deal with now. And they're like, man, you wouldn't believe how much the parents get involved and interfere. It's like, it's not even the same landscape as it used to be. Like, it's really crazy to think about.
Hmm.
Like how much has changed.
It is absolutely, yeah, absolutely crazy town, and hopefully people recognize it, and we come back to at least some semblance of what it was.
And I think, hopefully we will. Now, okay, one more question, and then we'll get this wrapped up. We'll keep this nice and short. If somebody out there right now is feeling stuck, they're in their head, or they find themselves procrastinating or making excuses, or generally going through some really difficult shit right now, what is 1 or 2 pieces of advice that they could take action on right now to help them move forward?
So easy. I thought you were going to give me a hard question. So easy. I'm sure this person that's stuck, that doesn't have the motivation, going through some hard times, I'm sure they have a social media account. If they don't, just create one for this. I want you to post on that social media account a changed person, who you're going to be. You are going to run, I'm making it up, you're going to run 10 miles a day. You're going to do 300 burpees a day. You're going to go to the gym every day. You pick your poison, but you're going to be this person. And I want you to shout it out to the world, to your world, that this is who you are and this is what you're going to do for the next year, 2 years, 3, whatever it is, but it should be a serious commitment. Then I want you to find 4 or 5 friends that are going to be your accountability partners. They're going to wake you up in the morning. They're going to hold you accountable to that thing you said you were going to do. Then the last piece of the puzzle is I want you to put something really hard on the calendar. I'd love it to be a Spartan or a Tough Mudder or whatever. I'll give you the ticket for free, but it could be a marathon. It could be hiking a mountain in Nepal. It could be going through the jungle in Vietnam. Whatever it is, you're going to have something on the calendar. I like four big things on the calendar each year. Every 3 months, you need something big, but it could be once a year. So go public with it. Start saying that's who you are. Stop telling everybody who you're not and who you don't want to be. Start telling everybody who you are, what you're going to be. Find those accountability partners, and then make sure you got a date on the calendar. Because when a boxer or a student or a contractor has a date on the calendar and a deadline, they get the job done. When they don't, they don't.
So true. Date on the calendar is so true. What do you got?
Yeah. Imagine if professors said, "Hey, take the test if you want, study if you want.
Yeah.
We're going to build this building. No timeline."
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it makes total sense. So with Spartan race and everything, tell us what you got going on. Is there anything brewing? Like, where can everybody find you, and all the things?
Spartan.com, Joe at Spartan.com, toughmudder.com, races all over the world. I'll put on 1,100 events this year. You're welcome to do any of them. No charge on me. If you've got kids, send them to Camp Sparta, aka Death Camp. I'm an open book. I'm easy. Whatever you want, it's on me. I just want to change the world. I need your help. Let's do it.
Love it. Dude, thank you so much for coming back on. That was absolute fire. Thanks, everybody.
You're awesome.
Thanks so much for tuning in with this episode with Joe Sena. Hopefully it helped. Hopefully you got some inspiration and some new insight that can help you make a different decision in your life, because that's the point, right? We can listen to all the things, read all the books, but if you don't take action in your life, if you don't even feel inspired to think, feel, behave differently, then what's the point? So hopefully this helped. If you enjoy this podcast, I recommend subscribing or follow it wherever you're listening to it, whatever platform you're on. And if you feel like it could help somebody, share it on social media. I love seeing us get tagged on social media. My Instagram is lance.ecios. All of that's in the show notes. All of Joe's information is down below as well for Spartan. And yeah, thank you so much for spending a little bit of your day with me, and stay resilient, stay strong. Much love. We'll catch you next time.